Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. Of course, Art of MMA on the Fighters First Network, fightersfirst.shop. Get all the latest and greatest dope merchandise, including the brand new officially licensed British Bulldog collection. So go check that all out, fightersfirst.shop. Of course, I can't do this show alone, though sometimes he makes me wish I was. Of course, I'm talking about the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Brandon, what's up, buddy?
It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time to talk some fights.
You want to tell people the good news before we hop into all the fights about what you just did earlier?
Be on the lookout for the new show that's going to be on the Fighters First Network. It's a kickboxing show. So for all our fans that just love stand-up combat, that love kickboxing, it's going to be me and Tim Wheaton. So be on the lookout for that. It should be coming out soon. It's called Kicking It with Tim and the Mechanic. Yeah,
it'll actually be released tomorrow. We're going to release those on Thursdays. I think they're doing one episode this week, and then they'll skip a couple weeks, wait for some of the results, and then Tim's going in and out of town. They'll come back a couple weeks from now for episode 2. But look for that tomorrow. We're going to drop that along with Crossing Borders on Thursdays. Kicking It with Tim and the Mechanic should be a hell of a show. I watched a little bit of it. It was pretty damn good, so y'all enjoy that. That's coming to you tomorrow. Of course, just finished up this week. Did the interview Unfiltered with Georgia Smith, launching the British Bulldog collection. So a lot of good stuff on the network. Of course, Cage My IQ putting out content all the time. And then you got the A show. We're not like Tony Khan says about Monday Night Raw. We don't – well, sometimes we suck, but sometimes we're awesome. It just really depends on Brandon. Anyway, let's stop bullshitting. Let's get straight to the action. A lot of stuff to talk about today. You got UFC Vegas 39. Dern and Rodriguez put on a pretty good show. Had a lot of great action. Randy Brown got the win. We'll talk about all that. Then we'll go ahead and jump into the news. Lots of people getting arrested. Some fight changes. Lots of fights announcements. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll finish up, make some more picks, talking about Bellator and UFC both this weekend. And the Rant will be slid in there as well. Brandon's got a little bit of beef with open scoring, talking about open scoring. He's been an advocate of it for a long time, trying to get that into MMA. So we'll talk about all that stuff today, but let's go ahead and get started. UFC Vegas 39, Brandon. Last Saturday night, Rodriguez and Dern put on a pretty good show. Rodriguez got the win. Just her striking was just a little bit too much for Dern. Dern kind of got into the grappling a little bit, but really could never quite get going against Rodriguez. What did you think of the fight, and tell the people at home what happened?
I mean, it was a good fight, but like you said, it was just really all Rodriguez. I want to say I think Mackenzie Dern maybe took the second round, and that was really it. Like she had got Rodriguez down in the like towards the end of the second round. You know, she was having her ground and pound. She was taking her back. She was like, I really kind of thought the fight was going to be over, but then once the third round started, it was kind of really just all Rodriguez again, and in my opinion, she kind of cruised to victory, because I really want to say I think Dern probably really only took that second round. I think the rest of the fight was really just all Rodriguez.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with you with the rounds. I do think like Dern was more competitive than the score showed. Like I don't think she won any rounds, but I think like she kind of stood up and held her own quite a few of those rounds too. But I think it was clear that Rodriguez won most of those rounds, and I think it was a pretty easy decision as far as everything that happened. After the fight, of course, Rodriguez once again calls out Joanna Jędrzejczyk, trying to get her back in the cage or get her out of the way in the rankings, which I think is kind of ridiculous. We've kind of talked about this in the past where it's really depending who you are, whether the UFC cares if you're inactive or not, right? Like Joanna Champion, really, she fought last year. It wasn't like she didn't fight in a long time. She had.
But she fought at 120. Oh no, she did fight at 115. My bad.
Yeah, she had that war with Wei Lee. They both came out like battered and bruised. That's when she had like the big old hemoglobin on her head and everything else, which takes time to heal. Joanna's also been fighting for a very, very long time. So if she wants to take a year and a half off, I think she's kind of earned it a little bit. By looking at her social media, and that doesn't always tell the whole story, it looks like Joanna's having enjoying her life, which she's entitled to. But I also think she's earned her ranking as well. And Rodriguez, who's won 3 or 4 in a row, also had that loss not too long ago to Carla. So I think it's a little premature to be talking about who needs to get out of the way in the rankings. I would love to see Rodriguez continue to move up the rankings, continue to fight better opponents. Mackenzie Dern was a hell of a test. She passed that. She got through Watterson. She got through some of her other challengers. But right now she's ranked what? Number 4? Am I wrong? Yeah, 4. Carla's in the waiting game, right? Carla's next for the title shot after the rematch between Rose and Weili. So, yeah, it makes sense for her to call out Jia Zhang. That makes sense for a great fight. What do you think's next for her?
Yeah, no, I want to say that should be the next fight. Joanna Champion out here. She's not doing anything. I'm saying, people want to see her fight. So I mean, she might. I would say it would be her versus Rodriguez. And just like I said, Esparza is the one waiting for her title shot.
Yeah, and I've heard Joe say that she really only wants a title shot. She thinks she deserves a rematch against Weili. So if Weili beats Rose, then that's something to look at. But I don't want to see her fight Rose again because Rose has beaten her twice. I don't think Joanna's the kind to duck anyone. I mean, people don't realize, we've talked about this before, I think Joanna Jędrzejczyk has fought Valentina Shevchenko 5 or 6 times if you count their kickboxing days too.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not ducking the toughest opponents. She's fought the champions. She was undefeated for a long time in the UFC up until she ran into Rose the first time. So I think Rodriguez is getting a little bit ahead of herself. She's on a hot streak. I think probably what's up next, if Carla doesn't want to wait, she could probably fight Rodriguez. If not, Jia Zhang makes a lot of sense. Sorry, my camera got blurry for a second, but that's probably the best I ever looked. So there you go. Over in the co-main event, this is what contributed to my 0-3 record. Brandon was 1-1. He's talking like he picked Dern also, by the way. Don't let Brandon act like he's like perfect over there. He picked Dern. Anyway, Randy Brown just ran right through Jared Gooden. I always never really know what to expect out of Jared Gooden. Every time I think Jared Gooden is a top flight like level of competitor, he comes out flat. When you kind of sleep on him, he comes out and knocks somebody out. I just don't know. Randy Brown knows looked fantastic his last few fights. Oliveira, now this. What did you think of this fight?
Hey man, it was a good fight for Randy Brown. Like you said, I picked Randy Brown to win. Like I said, I thought he had the experience, he had the tools. You know what I'm saying? He's a tall, lanky guy. I'm saying he can strike with you, but also too he does have submissions as well. So I mean, he definitely is a threat either way. While to me, Gooden was really more of a threat standing up. But I mean, plus two, man, Gooden missed weight as well. So that that definitely didn't help his case. And like I said, just Randy Brown just went in and he just did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have picked Gooden if we had like waited till after the weigh-ins to do this show. I kind of knew going into that weekend it was probably a bad pick. But like I said, you just never know what to expect. Both those guys are kind of in the middle of the pack. They're always competitive. I'm hoping Randy Brown maybe gets a top 10 opponent this time. Maybe keep on like elevating himself. He's looked really great the last few fights. And I think we'll see what's next. Who do you think should be next for Randy Brown?
I mean, yeah, like you said, like I probably would say definitely somebody in the top 15 for sure.
Yeah, he's due. He's got enough wins in a row. He's due. Elsewhere on the card, for one, my pick. I'm actually kind of glad I was wrong. Brandon was telling everybody to run to the books and pick up on Charles Rosa. Now we know Vegas is always right, or Atlantic City is always right because they know.
Yeah, man. Sorry, people. If you listen to me, you lost some money on that one. My bad.
He's good with his picks. He's not good with your picks. But Damon Jackson got the win and pretty easily over Charles Rosa. Like he seemed to have Charles Rosa figured out pretty earlier. I think I might have given Rosa one of the rounds, but Damon Jackson just really looked all around this fight. Coasted to an easy decision. One judge even had a 30-27. There was some weird stuff happening in the fight. One judge had a 29-27, another one 29-28. Just weird judging all around for that. Kind of leads to Brandon's rant later with the whole open scoring, but clear victory for Damon Jackson, so congratulations to him. Also on the main card, just a back and forth battle between Nicolau and Tim Elliott. Great fight. Kind of confusing in the third round when Elliott just kind of coasted. James Krause took that on him. Said, he gave him a bad strategy. But Nicolau won the third round, and he won the fight. Kind of the way it goes sometimes. Chris Gutierrez got the win over Colares with a decision. Romanov ran right through Van der Rohe like I thought he would. I was kind of questioning why anybody thought Van der Rohe would give Romanov a challenge, but maybe that should have been my pick. Damn it. Lupita Godinez got the win over her late replacement, Silvana Juarez. I think Juarez actually has a pretty good future in the UFC. I just think late replacement coming in, not really prepared, kind of showed, and she got tapped out in the first round. And then Steve Garcia against Ontiveros, a knockout in the second round. Brandon, any other fights really kind of stand out to you on that card?
Yeah, it was actually also on the main card as well. Was it?
Oh, and I'm sorry, Agapova.
Yeah,
Mazo.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of really high on.
I don't know why I slipped over that one.
It's all right. I'm actually pretty high on Agapova. Like I said, I've seen a few of her fights. Like homegirl comes to bank. Like honestly, when I see her, to be honest with you, she kind of reminds me of Joanna Champion. European, of course, but I mean, homegirl knows how to strike. She got them hands. And plus, too, to me, at this division at 125, I feel like she has height, she has reach. So I mean, she could really use that to her advantage.
Her hands are lethal, and the fact that she can still get on the ground and get a submission over somebody like Mazo, who's known for her submissions in her ground game, is pretty impressive. I think I just assumed I had talked about that one. I'm not apologizing to you, Brad. I'm talking about the people at home.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Don't worry.
I'm apologizing to you. Just
ain't no lady fights
to wear the same shirt as me today and rock the Art of MMA gear. Anyway, it was a pretty fun fight night card all around. I think the most impressive performance I really took out of it was Romanov. I think he's on his way up to a competitive fight in the heavyweight division. I'd be interested to see him against maybe a higher top 10 opponent. A lot of the heavyweights are kind of spoken for right now, but just looking at it real quick, I think maybe I don't know. I think Abdur Nemkov is booked up against somebody, but I don't remember who. And then I think Marcin Saburo is always a fun matchup for anybody. So a couple guys throw out for him. But that is UFC Vegas 39. Quite a bit of action. Great card. We're going to switch over now to This Week in MMA, talk about the news. Unfortunately, it's not good. I was debating which one to start with, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the whole Luis Pena story. I say allegedly because everything's always pending charges, but it's not the first time he's gotten in trouble for domestic violence. I think his charges are still pending from the last time, only a few months back. Once again, his girlfriend called. She had scratches and bruises on her, and she didn't want to take it anymore and asked the police to save her. And that's what they did. They came, arrested him again. Dana White has come out and said that he is no longer a part of the roster. He is now cut. He has been battling demons. They've been trying to offer him help. Hopefully he gets that help, and hopefully that he does something to change his ways, because that's not acceptable in any life anyway. And hopefully the woman is okay and not too badly hurt from the whole situation. I always love watching Luis Pena fight, but people got to remember sometimes there's professional and business, and personal and business. And if you can't get your personal shit together, sometimes you don't deserve to have the business, whether it's fighting or NFL or anything. And domestic violence is probably one of the worst things you can do, especially if you're a UFC fighter beating on a woman. That doesn't, come on, that's not a good look. Come on. In a weird domestic violence situation, also, speaking of which, so Chuck Liddell was arrested, and now details of that story are kind of coming out. Turns around, he might have actually been the victim. Weird situation. Details are still coming out. Allegedly, Chuck Liddell and his girlfriend got into it. They have a small child at home. Girlfriend or wife? I'm not sure.
Wife.
You know her? Wife.
Wife.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They got into it. They came home. They were drinking. Got into it. Allegedly, she scratched him, bruised him, something. Police came, and he didn't want her arrested because they have a small child at home, and he wanted her to be with the kid. And so he said, take me to the jail instead. They did. He was released on bond the next day. She was then later arraigned as well and charged as well. So leave it for the courts to kind of figure out. That's kind of a messy situation. Hopefully for all parties, that works itself out better. I've seen it so many times where alcohol just gets the best of people, and some people just don't need to be drinking. So hopefully everybody's okay in that situation, and they work that out as well. But once again, domestic violence is never okay, if it's the man or the woman. Doesn't matter. Home should be the safe place. That's not where not where you're supposed to be beating people up. Unless it's me, RKO, and Brandon, but that's different.
Right.
I mean, that's not domestic. That's just violence. Anyway, last week we kind of talked about Patricio Pitbull debating like a catchweight fight and everything else. And then like right after the episode, he turns around and vacates his title. So he's only going to be fighting at 145 pounds, hopefully for the rematch with AJ McKee, which leads his brother, Patricky, to fight Peter Queally in Dublin at UFC 270 for the vacant lightweight belt. He didn't want to hold up the belt, and he also didn't want to fight his brother. So that was the best solution for everybody, and here we are. Quick pick. Who do you think is going to win that fight? Patricky Pitbull or Queally?
I don't know, man. I mean, as of right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Queally right now. I don't know, man. I feel like Pitbull's kind of been going a little bit down.
He's looked good his last couple fights. I just think fighting in Dublin is going to be a huge backyard for Queally. So you saw Patricio didn't do good fighting in the backyard in LA for McKee. So Leon Edwards, Jorge Masvidal looks like a go for UFC 269 as one of the undercard or main card fights. Actually, I think it's going to be the third fight on the card because you got Poirier Oliveira, you got Nunez and Pena, and then you got this fight. So ink has not been put to paper, so stop.
No, it's official now.
It's been made official, but the bout agreements have not been signed. They've been sent out, and that was as of an hour ago. So I'm always skeptical when it comes to a Leon Edwards fight, whether it actually happens. I know Jorge will show up, and he's already given Edwards a 2-piece and a biscuit backstage, so we'll see what happens in front of the cameras when everybody can see on December 11th. And then because of that, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, is now moved to January. They're going to move to UFC 270 in the event that's going to be headlined by Ngannou and Gane. Location still be determined, but it's going to happen on January 22nd.
Yeah, they're trying to get it in California.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, with COVID and the pandemic and vaccine passports and everything else has been going with that. It's always been a challenge. As far as I know, New York's still happening, so we'll see. Luke Rockhold has withdrawn from New York, UFC 268. He's having issues with his back. He may even have to have surgery. So Sean Strickland's looking for an opponent. A number of people put their name in the hat, including Gilbert Burns, willing to move up to 185 to fight him. That's a fight I would actually love to see. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Bilal Muhammad put his name out too. He doesn't like him either.
Yeah, and Bilal Muhammad, funny note on that. He threw a post out, and then the post got banned, like on Instagram or something like that, for being too violent or something like that. He got pulled. Funny enough. And then the last bit of news, we'll talk about Aspen Ladd hopping in for Holly Holm against Norman Dumont when we preview UFC Vegas 40 this weekend. But a fight that should make Brandon smile, Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze, January 15th on a UFC Fight Night. Giga's finally getting a top 5 opponent. And they're probably not the one he wanted. He wanted Max, but it's not a bad second fiddle getting Calvin coming off a war with Max. So see what Calvin's got coming off that and see what Giga's doing going up against tougher and tougher competition. He looks legit. I think it's going to be a hell of a war. You looking forward to that one?
Yeah, man. Always. 2 strikers going at it. Love it.
All right. Now that brings us to the rant. The rant this week is brought to you by Brandon Cuttino. Trying to rotate, trying to keep it. I don't always want to be the angry guy on the show. Brandon's not really angry this week either, but he always has something to say. So, Brandon, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, man. Just the thing I want to bring up is just open scoring in MMA or open scoring in combat sports, however way you want to bring it. Like I said, I am a big fan of it. I think it's good for the sport, especially as a fighter. Remember, you want transparency. You want to know what it is that the judges are thinking. You know, if you look at any other sport, you know what the score is. You know what's going on. While here, like I said, you might think that you're winning, but the judges are seeing something else. Like speaking of, like, as you talked about earlier with the Tim Elliott fight, James Krause, the coach, thought Elliott was up 2-0 and said, hey, you can take it easy the third round. But came to show judges, they were saying something else. They had, they didn't have Elliott up like how the coach thought. You know, you think about the Corey Sandhagen fight with TJ Dillashaw. Same thing. Sandhagen thought he was up, thought he was winning. But nope, judges, they saw something else. So the thing is, like I said, you can look at a fight, think that something's going your way, but in reality, the judges could be seeing something else. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what they're seeing. Also, too, some judges might be favoring something more than what should be favored. You know, like saying you're thinking like, oh man, you know, I'm cracking this person, I'm lighting them up, got my hands going, got my kicks going. But last 5 seconds of a round, you get taken down. The judge might say, all right, you know what, that person won. But in your head, in your coach's head, you're thinking that, oh, you won that round. So you're thinking, all right, I'm up 1 round. Boom, second round comes. Coaches see the score. They say, oh, hey, you're down. You're like, wait, what? Just because they got that takedown. So then, all right, I got to pick it up. I can't get taken down at all because for some reason, takedowns matter. You know, like I said, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if maybe, because I know some people talk about, taking the suspense out. But to me, I don't think it really matters because either way, as a fan, you're watching the fight. You think you know what's going on. You think, oh, this person got it. Oh, no, this person got it. Oh, that round was close. So either way, you're still going to think it. Just because now you know doesn't, to me, change anything, you know? But if they really want to get on to something like that, then how about this? How about you don't put it on TV? Then you can still have open scoring, but just have it inside the arena. You know, those fans that are in the arena, they're not going anywhere. Because I know one of the things that people brought out was like, oh, well, like if I know what's going on, then I won't stick around for the decision. You know, they're gonna turn or some nonsense like that. You know, I'm like, it doesn't really matter. Like you're going to watch regardless. And about fighters stalling and all this stuff, like there are rules in there to stop stalling. You know, it's not like, oh, you can just run around. Plus, there's a cage right there to stop you, you know? So I like I said, I think it's good. Like I said, I've seen it in kickboxing. I know that Invicta has done it, you know, and like you said, you know, Colorado had just approved this. So that's Kansas. So that's the state of Kansas and Colorado just approved it. Now, again, like there is no theory, like there's no data, should I say, that says, oh, if you do open scoring, fights are going to change, you know, outcomes will be different. You know, fighters will turn up, fighters will just stay the same, fighters will run. There's no really data that support it. But to me, I'm like, let's just check it out. Let's see it. You know, if you don't want to do it on a big stage like UFC, Bellator, or PFL, but you want to do it on a regional scene, do that. See how it goes and go from there. But to me, I think it's good. I think as a fighter, you want to know because like I said, personal experience, like my last fight that I had, I thought I was up 2 rounds. In the third round, I kind of coasted a little bit, but I still thought I did enough to win. Nope, judges had it to the other guy. I lost. That's how it goes.
For not being very angry, you came off as pretty angry. But I agree with you 100%. And I'll even look at it a different way. I feel like open scoring puts more pressure on the judges because you have some of these judges doing quirky things that nobody can explain, and all of a sudden you're looking up. And 2 of the 3 judges have it for 1 round for a guy or a girl, and then another judge has it for the other opponent, And then all of a sudden the judge has the opponent has the pressure on him because everybody's looking at him like, why did you score it that way? Like, what's wrong with you? So it may lead to better MMA judging as well. I don't know what the problem is with it on the grand scale. I don't think fighters – I think if anything, it makes more action. I don't think anybody can really stall because if your opponent knows for 100% sure they're down in the third round, that's when you really want to watch because you know they're going to go balls to the wall trying to finish the fight. So I really don't see any problem with open scoring. I think the fans at home deserve to watch too, if anything, because they're like, you know, armchair quarterbacks. Like, why aren't you going after it? You're losing this fight. Go, go, go. I don't think anybody would tune out if they thought somebody was getting smoked because the third round, if they know they're losing, they got to come out and try to get a finish. So you may see more action or the fifth round in whatever case. So I don't have any problem with open scoring. I think it's long overdue. I think the more states that pass it, the better likelihood it will go eventually to the UFC or something of like that nature. I'm surprised a place like Bellator, which takes chances on doing new rules and stuff like that, hasn't done it. I'm surprised PFL hasn't done it, to be honest with you. But I do think it's around the corner. Between that, and I've always been an advocate for the way one does their scoring, which is picking a winner. I think are the two big ways to like make changes to kind of correct some of this MMA judging craziness that we get almost on a weekly basis. We're scratching our heads wondering why. So that could help fix a lot of those problems. Any last word on this?
No, I mean, like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I just think it's good. And like you said, I think it will maybe help us figure out who are the good and who are the bad judges out here. Because like I said, you see somebody's picking something, you and be like, oh, why did this person pick that? I mean, unless they just have them as judge 1, judge 2, judge 3 when they put it up on the screen, which I know I think that's what Glory does. You know, and I think the same thing with like Invicta as well. I don't think they ever say who the actual judges. I think they just
There's
put,
always a way to
judge
find
1,
out.
judge 2, judge 3. Just keep it anonymous.
There's always a way. I mean, the athletic commissions release the scorecards after every event anyway. So like there's always a way to know which judge did what. So it's a way to keep them accountable, even though it doesn't help in the moment in time that it happens. It's a way to kind of keep them accountable afterwards, but it really hasn't stopped anybody. So that is the rant this week. For somebody who's not very angry, Brandon found a way to get animated. It's always a fun time when we get his blood flowing and get him going, get him in mechanic mode, or in some cases when he brings out Blade, and then you know it's good. Get that little professional wrestling out of him. Just on a side note, check out Slamtown, new on the network. Been in 2 episodes now. Check it out. Enough plugging. Let's go ahead and make some picks this week. I was 0-3 last week. Brandon was 1-1. Of course, one of the fights he picked got canceled. So here we are back in action. I have a hard time believing the main event will happen, but at UFC Vegas 40, we are led by Aspen Ladd versus Norma Dumont. Ladd stepping in for Holly Holm, who was hurt. After that whole weight scale debacle just a couple weeks ago, I find it very hard to believe that Aspen Ladd – I know she can make 145. That's not a question because that was pretty much the debate last time. But I find, A, her being healthy enough to fight after everything that happened, and B, her actually showing up to fight because of that health and because of that bad weight cut. But assuming this fight does go down, Brandon, tell me who wins and tell me why.
I actually have Norma Dumont winning this. Reason being is really because of what you just said. I think Aspen Ladd going through that difficult weight cut, which basically almost passed out, was in pain, going all the way to 135, and now right, she has to recover. But now again, she's gonna still start a process of cutting weight. Now it might not be as much going down to 135, but it's still a process. How is her body going to react? You know, so I mean, she could start out hot in that first round, but in that second, third round, she could be feeling it. She could be sluggish. Like I said, this is a 5-round fight. You know, this is going to be 3 rounds because remember, this is the main event, so it will be 5 rounds. So I just think Norma Dumont is just gonna be able to win really because of that. But plus 2, again, like I was picking against Aspen Ladd in the last fight against Macy Chiasson. I think Dumont is the better striker. I'm still a little skeptical on Aspen Ladd stand-up defense. So I just think Dumont can put those hands on her and maybe put her out.
Well, for one, I mean, it's rare. I agree, but I agree 100%. Lad's only loss was GDR, Jermaine Durandamy, who's a bigger opponent, who's fought at 145 pounds, was the inaugural champion, initial champion, even though she never defended it. Dumont fights at 145 pounds. Her only loss was to Megan Anderson, who was a former Invicta 145-pound champion, so no shame in that. I got to be honest. I don't think Aspen Ladd can carry her power up a division. I think she cut to 135 pounds before because that's where she had the power. I don't think she has it in 145 pounds. I think it's probably closer to her normal weight, so it's probably easier cut for her. But at the same time, and we called for it last time when she couldn't make weight, to maybe like think about adding to the 145-pound division, which is already thin as is in the UFC. Let's see it. And here she is, but I think she's trying to make right with the promotion. I don't think she's ready to go. I think she got a lot of heat in the media from people like Misha Tate. I'm sure Dana had a few thoughts on it as well. And they're like, well, you either step up to do this, because you got to remember, Aspen Ladd's been out for a long time because of injuries and other things. So she was finally making her comeback. That fight got pushed back because Chason got hurt. Then it got pushed back then it got canceled because Ladd couldn't do the weight cut right. Here we are. I'm picking Dumont. I think Dumont's the more well-rounded fighter. I think Dumont would win that fight no matter if Ladd was coming in 100%. I really like Norma Dumont. I think she's on the rise. Another shameless plug, Cage.myIQ just actually interviewed Norma Dumont, just put up this week, so check that out. But she does have the skills all around that I don't think Aspen Ladd has. I think Aspen Ladd has had some good victories, but I don't think this fight is for her, and I think it's a bad matchup. It's a very bad matchup. So I'm picking Dumont as well. Over in the co-main event, you got a longtime UFC veteran, Andrei Arlovski, back in action against up-and-coming Carlos Felipe. Carlos has won a bunch of prelim fights. He's always looked bombastic, I think is probably the best way to put it. He's very, very confident. This will be a big test, and I'm kind of curious, Brandon, who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm just going to go with Arlovski, man. I'm just going to go with him. You know, it's like I really got nothing else to say on this fight, man. Yo, I'm just going to rock with the pit bull, baby. Just going to rock with the pit bull.
Look, I'm going with Arlovski too, but I actually have a legitimate reason. I think he looked fantastic against Chase Sherman. I think he kind of looked like he turned back the clock against Chase Sherman. And then Felipe in his last fight, even though he won, that was a very tough fight with Jay Collier. Like that was kind of fight to take years off your life, like type fight. So I'd be interested to see how much Felipe has after coming off a fight like that. And that was only back in June. So it was like 4 months ago. So I'd be interested to see. I think Arlovski is probably the fresher fighter. I think Arlovski's a veteran. He knows how to get it done against a lot of these young guys. And one thing Arlovski's done the last couple fights that he really hasn't done in the past, he stopped leading with his chin. Like you see a lot of these fights that Arlovski was always in these like knockdown, drag out, I'm going to get you, you're going to get me, who's going to be standing at the end. I mean, I think I famously remember the Travis Brown fight. Remember that one where they were both like beating the crap out of each other and damn near finishing each other. And then eventually Arlovski got – I think this fight – I think Arlovski's the smarter fighter. I think he's been showing it the last couple fights, actually acting like a veteran for once and getting out of less of these firefights. And I think his hands can do the talking. And I think Arlovski's going to win this one actually kind of easily, but we'll see. It's rare that me and Brandon are on the same page. Brandon, what's your extra fight pick that we should look out for this week? Oh, wait, that's what you're doing in Bellator.
Exactly.
I'm used to doing on UFC. I'm just all off. I've been under the weather all week, people, so please bear with me. I'm trying not to have a horrible episode, but Brandon, as usual, is carrying me through this episode. So,
you know it, baby.
I got to pump up his ego so he keeps coming back every week. Also, real quick on the rest of that card, you got a lot of stuff going on in that card. Of course, Jim Miller back in action against Eric Gonzalez. It's going to be a fun fight. Man and Fiat and Bueno Silva are taking place on this card. Was supposed to take place a couple weeks ago, got pushed back. Julian Marquez still trying to proclaim his love for Miley Cyrus. He'll be in action against Jordan Wright. Andrew Sanchez against Bruno Silva should be a fun matchup. Danny Roberts versus Amiv should be a really good matchup. Sajara Eubanks in action against Luana Carolina. Sarge looked great.
Eubanks is out.
Is she? Is that fight gone, or are they looking for?
No, yeah, she got replaced. Dang, what can't I remember her name? Homegirl just fought, I think, like this past weekend or 2 weekends ago. Who she's fighting?
Well, shame on Sherdog. Oh, it just got updated as we were talking. Finally, during the show and not after the show, Lupita just had action last week. She's back in action against Godinez. Lupita Godinez is taking Sarge's place. She'll be back in action this week. Back-to-back weeks. She's trying to get paid.
Yeah.
Got Nate Landwehr versus Ludwig Klein. It's going to be a fun matchup. Klein's been kind of one of those dudes. Like, you expect to be the next big thing, but then he like has a hiccup. So we'll see. Baccarel versus Davis, and then Nunez versus Carnelossi. Any of those other fights kind of stand out to you on this card?
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, if we would have done extra pick, I would have picked the ladies' fight of Funat versus Silva, since that was a fight that I picked before that got canceled on me. So I still think Funat's going to win that fight. And of course, you know me, I always got to represent my Jersey guy, Jim Miller, doing his thing. Like saying, you always got to look out for those two fights.
I can't remember. Who was he supposed to fight a couple weeks ago?
Jim Miller?
Yeah, he had a fight canceled a couple weeks ago.
No, I think they just. Oh man, no, I don't.
He was on a card a couple weeks ago, and it was another veteran, and they canceled it.
Yeah,
I can't remember now. Like I said, I'm under the weather. Don't leave me bad comments, people. I'm sensitive. No, not really, but whatever. Should be another fun fight night card, though. I'm looking forward to a couple of these fights. I'm really looking forward to the Danny Roberts Amin fight. I'm looking forward to the Marquez Jordan Wright fight. And then I always love watching Jim Miller. So a lot of fun stuff. And then Lupita Godinez, coming off a submission win just last weekend. See what she does this weekend against Carolina. It's always tough when you got to make weight 2 weeks in a row. So I'm interested to see how that goes. You don't hear it as much with the women as with the men, but I can't imagine it's any easier. So we'll see what's up with that. And, of course, I'll be shocked if the main event actually happens. But we'll see come weigh-in day. But that's the UFC Vegas 40 happening this weekend. And then also on the same night, actually what we're talking about in our main event this week, Bellator 268, continuing the light heavyweight Grand Prix. Got Nemkov defending his title against Anglickas. Also got Ryan Bader versus Corey Anderson, which is going to be a banger. And then we'll make our extra fight pick. But let's go ahead and start at that main event, Brandon. I'm rocking on that Nemkov train. I don't think there's any question in my mind that Nemkov's going to run right through Anglickas. I think Anglickas is tougher than people know. He's been an alternate in this tournament the whole time, even though people didn't really know he was there. Who do you got in this fight, and what do you expect to happen?
I do have Nemkov winning this fight. Like I said, to me, he is the most well-rounded fighter between the two. Like I say, his striking is good. He has good wrestling, submissions. Like I say, but really though, like the only way that Alexis could win this fight is on the ground. Even though, like I say, even though Nemkov is a well-rounded guy, I think though Alexis' advantage is on the ground. But the thing is though, he has to get the fight there, and I don't know if he really can get it there.
I'm almost shocked to see you like on the Nemkov train since you've picked against him the last two fights. But
I like Phil Davis
over some respect on his name. The champ is the champ for a reason, and he's only getting better. He ran through your boy Phil Davis. He's gonna run through this dude. He ran through Bader. Don't matter. Bader can win this fight against Corey Anderson. He's still gonna run through him again. I think this is Nemkov's tournament to lose. I think he's been on top of his game for the last year or two. And I think it's about time people start recognizing that. I think he's, one of the less heralded champions in all of MMA, and I think he's earned his right. So the more wins he gets under the belt, the more people will recognize him. I don't think this fight is that fight. I think with Anglickas being a late replacement, I just don't think he's going to be that guy. But he is 10-1. He is a very solid fighter, and people kind of sleep on him. But he doesn't have a resume of people that you kind of even know exist. Like, he beat Gregory Milliard. He beat Alex Pelosi. He beat Jordan Young, Carl Reed. Those aren't names that really kind of jump out to you. And the fact that he beat Carl Reed on Dana White's Contender Series and didn't get a UFC contract for a submission win, when Dana at this point is like, you get a contract. You get a contract. Everybody gets a contract. Kind of tells me a little something that he might be missing. But he is win is a win, right? You keep beating opponents, you got to get some respect. But I just think this fight, and there's levels to this, I don't think he's on that level. Over in the co-main event, Ryan Bader versus Corey Anderson. I'll be interested to see who you pick because so far we've been on the same page, and I'm hoping I actually get one over on you on this one. So who you got?
I'm rocking with Corey Anderson, man.
Damn it.
Exactly. Yo, man, Beastin' 25-8 over here, or Overdrive, whichever nickname he's using these days. Like I said, both of them have wrestling pedigrees, so you probably go with that. The wrestling will cancel each other out. So then, which of course, it goes to the striking. Now, yes, I think Bader does have the power since Bader has fought at heavyweight. He has good power there, so it means the power can translate, at light heavyweight as well. Corey Anderson, though, to me is just I think his striking technique is better because I think he has a better striking coach. Hanging out with Mark Henry here in New Jersey. But like I said, I mean, also too, you may say, Bader, he's getting up there. He has that wear and tear on his body. I think of maybe being heavyweight, light heavyweight, it might eventually catch up to him. And I just think this is just Corey Anderson's time right here.
Yeah, I can't debate that. I think Corey's the younger, faster fighter. I think, like you said, the wrestling cancels each other out. I think Bader is a level above him in wrestling, but at that level, I think they're both pretty damn good. And Corey, just his last couple fights, his power has been exceptional. So he is susceptible to the knockout. 4 out of his 5 losses have been getting caught by knockout. So I'm not saying Bader doesn't have a chance. Blagowicz knocked him out. St. Preux knocked him out. Manoa knocked him out. Shogun beat him by decision. But other than that, pretty much every other loss has been a knockout. Vellante way before that. So Corey does get caught from time to time. It's been a while. He hasn't been – I mean, the Blagowicz fight was early 2020. It was actually his last UFC fight. But he looked great against Manoff, though. Manoff is like 50 years old, so that's not like a big deal. And then he looked great in his first round matchup. He looked young. He looked younger. He looked more explosive, and he did what he's supposed to do. Bader, even though he beat Machida's another aging fighter, isn't what he used to be. He looked horrible against Nemkov. He didn't look great before the eye poke against Czech Congo. And then you're talking about beating an aging fighter like Fedor. So his resume doesn't really stand out like I'm doing all this great stuff. And against Machida, he looked better than Machida, but that wasn't saying much. Neither guy looked that great. So I'm thinking Corey Anderson. I think Corey's the younger, more explosive fighter. And I think unless Bader hits a Hail Mary, I think it's going to be Corey Anderson and Nemkov in the final, which I actually am looking forward to too, because it's a new matchup that we haven't seen. I really don't want to see Nemkov beat Bader again. So my fight pick, since kind of going down the card, my fight pick is next. I got Benson Henderson versus Brett Primus. I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. Benson's looked pretty good his last fight. Primus, I thought, got robbed of the last fight, even though Brandon disagreed with me when we were talking about that, talking about open scoring. That would have been a good fight to have for that one as well. But Benson is coming off tough losses to Chandler and Jason Jackson. Funny enough, I'm the one that picked Jason Jackson last time, and both Sergio and Brandon went with Benson. But Benson looked competitive. He just got outclassed by a younger, better fighter who's on his way to the top in Jason Jackson that we didn't really know at the time, but he's definitely proven it. Primus has had a couple 2 out of 3 wins, but that last loss against Mamedov, split decision loss, I thought he won. So it's tough for me to pick in this fight, but I'm actually going to go with Brent Primus. I think Primus is grappling. I think Benson's gotten caught in grappling before. I remember the Anthony Pettis thing where he got caught in like a double armbar. Like sometimes Benson gets in bad situations that his athleticism can't get him out of. So I'm picking Primus in this one. Both fighters are pretty much around the same age, so that's not really a big deal. 1 year apart, so I got Primus. What are your thoughts on that fight, and what's your fight pick for the night?
I think it's gonna be a good fight. A good fight in the lightweight division. Sorry, buddy, but I'm still rocking with Ben Henderson. I think he'll get the job done.
It's fine.
Like I said, I know his Bellator run hasn't been what everybody thought it was going to be, but I think he still has some fight left in him. I mean, Brent Primus, really, he too is one of those guys that to me, he's kind of been inactive. I feel like he fights like once a year or something like that. So
it's definitely rare for him to fight twice in the same year lately.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think Henderson has the experience. Saying he has wrestling. He has his Taekwondo black belt that he has, but he too also has submissions as well. Like I said, and you're saying he did get caught with Anthony Pettis, but Anthony Pettis is a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. I don't think Brett Primus is. I don't really know his level of jiu-jitsu like that, but. But like I said, I'm going with Henderson.
I don't know if they even look at it like that, to be honest with you.
Oh.
Anyway, what's your fight pick for the night?
I'm going on the prelims, man. You know me. I like those up and comers. I'm going with Lance Gibson Jr. versus Pena, and I got Lance Gibson Jr. Like I say, he's the son of Lance Gibson. Who is the coach and husband of Julia Budd. Like I said, I saw his last fight that he had on Bellator, and he looked real good. Like I said, he's another person who was born into this. Just like AJ McKee. Like I said, I think he could be he could be the next big thing.
I was almost surprised you didn't pick the Jaleel Willis fight.
Nah.
But I do agree. I think Gibson looks great. I think he's going to be continuing to roll through. I think Pena is going to give him a little challenge, but not that much. This card's filled with a lot of up-and-comers like that. But also on the main card, to finish out this card, Henry Corrales is in action. He's going against, I'm going to butcher this name, but Parubchenko. I think I might have said that right. That's going to be a fun fight. Yakshimir Muradov versus Albrigtson. A lot of tough names to say on this card, and the first names aren't very much easier. Thank you, Bellator. But two very tough fighters. I've seen Albrechtson fight before. He's 12-3. He's pretty damn good. The other one is a younger Russian fighter. Sullivan Cully, 1-0 versus Dion Clash, another one of those undefeated up-and-coming fighters. See what they both got. Nick Brown going against Bobby Lee should be a fun matchup. Nick Brown's 11-1. Had one hiccup a couple fights ago, but it looks like he's bounced back. Javier Torres, he's going against Gregory Miller. We had just talked about him as the last opponent for Anglickas. So we'll see if he can bounce back against Torres. Sumiko Inaba versus Randy Field. 2-0 fighters. So we'll see who gets the win in that one. We just talked about Gibson Pena. You got Jalen Bates going against Montini de Lima. Bates is another young up-and-coming undefeated fighter at 3-0. So that should be another matchup to take a look at. And then there's two more matchups, Maria Henderson versus Colette Santiago, both 0-0, both making their pro debuts. And then the matchup I'm actually very curious about, it's very like early in the prelims, Makhmed Burkamov versus Jaleel Willis. I like watching Jaleel Willis fight. I think he brings the heat. I think he comes to knock people out. But Burkamov is undefeated at 13-0. He's another one of those Russian fighters you don't know much about until they get over here, and then they make a lot of noise. So we'll be interested to see what doing. He comes out of ACA and ACB, a couple of the Russian leagues, so finishes a lot of opponents. So him and Jaleel Willis should have a nice battle on their hands. Anything else you're looking forward to on that card before we get out of here today?
I say, you know who Maria Henderson is, right?
No. Benson's wife?
Yup.
I was just throwing it out there. I really had no idea who she was.
Yeah, no, that's what that is. So I definitely have my eyes on that. See how she does.
How dare you have your eyes on another man's wife?
Say that again.
How dare you have your eyes on another man's wife?
Get out of here. You know what I mean. Get out of here. But then also I'm looking to see how Henry Corrales looks because I'm saying for a while he was. I mean he probably still is, but he's like top 5. A 145er there. So it's kind of, you kind of want to see where it is that he's going. If he can maybe get another title run in there somehow.
Not currently. He's not in the top 10 actually.
Oh wow, my bad.
I mean, he's lost a couple out of his last 4 or 5 fights. So.
Well, that's what I mean. He was he was in there. Like he was at least top 10, top 5. In the run. With Pitbull and AJ and all of them like that. And then boom, next you know, like he kind of took some L's, and then it's like, well, what's next for him?
He's lost 3 out of 4, so it's kind of slid down a little bit. I'm surprised he's not even in the top 10, but then again, Caldwell's number 10, and Caldwell beat Corrales too. So, the featherweight rankings are pretty tough, and you got to, Aaron Pico's jumped up there in the top 5. You still got veterans like Weichel and Carvalho. Justin Gonzalez is 12-0. You got veterans like Jeremy Kennedy. So they have a pretty damn tough featherweight division. Keep an eye out for. Is that your audio or mine? Anyway, we're almost out of here. But that is Bellator 268. Brandon's back there playing games behind it. I don't know what's going on. It's just one of those random things. But that's Bellator 268. Should be another fun, exciting card. Going head-to-head same night as UFC, so they bring the heat when they do line up head-to-head because they want to win those battles. And UFC's led by Ladd versus Dumont. So I definitely think Bellator has the more exciting main card. I think UFC actually has probably the deeper regular card this weekend, but the main card, I think, is better in Bellator. That is that for our picks. Hopefully I don't go winless again in another week, and hopefully Brandon does. But unfortunately, we made a lot of the same picks. I think we had like 1 fight difference, which is only our personal picks. So if Brandon goes 4-1, I go 5-0. That's a win for me because all the other main picks were the same. So there's not much making up ground this week. But if he loses, I lose. So then there's nothing to gain for it either. So there you go. Make sure you check out FightersFirst.shop. We got the brand new British Bulldog collection in the shop. Should be a good time. Very excited about that officially licensed product. We're working hand in hand with Georgia Smith, the daughter of the British Bulldog, coming up with some great products for that lineup. Got the brand new Extremo collection. Check out Crossing Borders tomorrow. Check out Brandon's new show, Kicking It with Tim and the Mechanic. That'll be on tomorrow as well on the Fighters First Network. Obviously, check out everything that Cage My IQ is doing. They put out a lot of episodes the last couple of days. Got a new episode of Unfiltered with Georgia Smith. A lot of stuff going on the network, so please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment. Keep in the know. Let us know what's going on. And if you want to hit that little bell, you'll never miss another episode of anything on the network. So check all that out. Brandon, any final thoughts today?
And just say, guys, remember, just make sure you guys check out all the shows. Saying we got something for wrestlers, we got something for MMA heads, got something for kickboxers. Like I said, definitely be on the lookout for my new show tomorrow, Kicking It with Tim the Mechanic. Say it. I think you guys are definitely gonna like it. It might maybe even become the new A show. We shall see.
It'll never be the A show because I can cancel y'all. I'm only partially kidding. Oh, I got to stay employed, people. We got to protect my rights. Anyway, for the Mechanic, Brandon Cuttino, I'm Mike Ginn. This is another great episode of Art of MMA. Hopefully I'll feel better and be a lot better in action next week. If you detect any sluggishness from me or my voice sounding different, I do apologize. But thank you for watching once again. This is Art of MMA, and we're out.